Well, welcome inside our Rural Radio Network Lincoln studios. For the past several years, it has been our privilege to interview the newly elected Nebraska FFA state officer team following the announcement. While conditions are different this year, we are honored to have the new team joining us digitally today for an interview. First and foremost, thank you each for being here. Josie, we're going to start with you as you were one of the 5 state vice presidents. And first, you're from the Imperial FFA chapter. Tell us a little bit about your FFA background and some of your experiences.
I started FFA my freshman year, and what really got me hooked with FFA was I got to attend national convention as a delegate, and I got to see finals hall. I got to see all of the sponsors, the national officers, and everybody who was advocating and showing agriculture. And I realized this is just like something I want to be a part of. And so I've continued up competing in contests, CDs. I've done ag sales, ag issues. I've done a lot of LDEs also. I've done conduct of chapter meetings, public speaking, and parliamentary procedure, and just slowly grown my love for FFA as I've continued.
What was it about Nebraska FFA state office that made you interested in this role?
It was the fact that these people are motivating kids all while advocating for agriculture at the same time. And I knew I wanted to do that. I wanted to motivate kids and push them to be in agriculture just like I have. I've had motivators do that, and I wanted to do that for kids too.
Well, Josie, I'm told you know quite a bit about parliamentary procedure. You served, you were on the national qualifying competition, or the team from Nebraska, and you all went on to do pretty well at national convention. Remind our listeners how the Imperial FFA chapter did.
We were able to win, be the first Nebraska team to win in parliamentary procedure, and it was something I will probably never forget. It was definitely worth all of the hard work that got put into doing it.
In addition to some of the things you talked about on the FFA side, you're also involved in production agriculture. Tell us a little bit about the farming operation you're involved with.
I have grown up on a farm of about 6,000 acres my whole life, and actually I was given the opportunity about 3 years to farm my own 360 acres, which is now actually my supervised agriculture experience. And so I have just grown up in production agriculture, whether it be in the planter, scouting the fields in the summer, or in the combine in the fall.
Well, congratulations, Josie Schilke. She is from the Imperial FFA chapter. We'll move on to Jakob Anderjaska. He is not too far down the road in Hayes Center. Comes from the Hayes Center FFA chapter. Jakob, congratulations to you as well. Tell us about what it felt like yesterday when your name was called. A little bit different setting this year, but I'm sure the excitement was still there.
Thank you. It was definitely different. We're all expecting something else, and of course this year has been just completely different than anyone could imagine, but it's still amazing. I went and saw my ag instructor with my parents, and the moment of finding out whether I believe if is over a computer screen or up at Pinnacle Bank Arena is still just absolutely amazing.
Making the best out of kind of an unprecedented situation. That announcement again yesterday. Tell us about your FFA and agriculture background.
I've always been around agriculture. My family has been raising registered purebred Black Angus for 62 years now. And we're currently in the 4th generation of farming out here and grow crops and raise beef, and it's amazing to be around this. I've always had to work hard, and it's an amazing opportunity out here. And when I got introduced through FA, through my amazing advisor, is just something I knew I wanted to do because it's an amazing platform where you can continue your passion for agriculture and learn a lot of things.
On the FFA side of things, I believe you were part of the National Ag Sales Team, where you all placed 6th in that competition. Tell us about the competition and that experience of competing at the national level.
That setting was a lot more difficult than imagined. It took a lot of time getting there. It was amazing because our little town of 210 some people and small school with a chapter of 28 members, and we went up against schools where their chapters were 300 people, the size of our town. And it was just a whole nother experience to get to compete at that level and to have that much success.
Well, congratulations on that, and congratulations for being selected as one of the Nebraska FFA State Vice Presidents. Jakob Anderjaska from the Hayes Center FFA chapter. We'll move over to O'Neill FFA chapter, where Alissa Moser is from, another Nebraska FFA State Vice President. Alyssa, tell us a little bit about your FFA background.
I actually didn't join FFA until I was a sophomore. I live on a farm by Clearwater, Nebraska. I've grown up here my whole life, and I went to Clearwater Public Schools basically from kindergarten through freshman year, but then I transferred to O'Neill my sophomore year, and their FFA chapter was one of the big reasons why I transferred. I had grown up around agriculture, and my cousin Lydia Minton was actually the state secretary a couple of years ago. She's one of my biggest role models for FFA, and I wanted to follow in her footsteps, and she really seemed to enjoy FFA, and I know she loved her time as a state officer, and that's what sparked me to really get involved in FFA. I've done a lot of CDEs and LDEs, and my proficiency qualified to the state level this year, which was pretty darn cool too. So it's been really fun being involved with our chapter.
Well, it looks like leadership is no stranger for you. As Alyssa, in 2019, you were named the Girls State Governor, selected there at Girls Nation here in Nebraska. But tell us about that experience and some of the things that translate over from Girls State to FFA, the lessons shared there.
That was one of single-handedly the coolest experiences of my entire life, and I know Madison and Hannah can attest to this too. It was so cool to just be surrounded by so many girls who were interested in politics and government and just make a lot of new friends that week. I'd never debated before, so when I won the primary election for governor and I had to debate, I was pretty worried, but I really reached back to my agricultural roots and based my platform around that. And it turned out to be a successful campaign, and I am very grateful to have had the opportunity to experience that.
As you look forward to the next year, is there a particular message that you hope to be able to share with Nebraska FFA members?
Don't be afraid to just be yourself and be your true, authentic self no matter what, because there's that saying, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. So no matter what you think anyone is going to think of you, just don't even worry about it. Put yourself out there, take a step out of the box, and you never know where you're going to end up.
Well, congratulations, one of the Nebraska FFA State Vice Presidents, Alissa Moser from the O'Neill FFA chapter. Heath Kaiser is from the Gothenburg FFA chapter, another one of the state vice presidents. Heath, for you, what was it like to hear your name called on the digital announcement just yesterday?
Well, I will agree with everybody else. It was very nerve-wracking, and so I was kind of nervous and going through, and then they called from Gothenburg, and it took me a second. And I go, wait, that's me. And so then I was just really surprised, and I was with my family here, and then we had some of our family friends, and our officer team actually stopped by, and so it was really cool to see all the support and all the text messages I got from people in our community, and it was really cool to see how much support I have from our community and everything that our chapter has done in our community.
Heath, I understand you enjoy showing cattle. Talk about that experience for you.
Yes, and so my family has been very big in 4-H, and so I've been leading the calves around ever since I was about 5, helping my older sister with some of her calves, and actually my family has nicknamed me the Calf Whisperer. I have a few calves that have been able to tame down and get through the show ring that my family thought I might not be able to. And so with that, my FFA SAE has actually been raising purebred shorthorns. And so this last year, I kind of took a big leap and took one of the heifers that I raised out of my cows and went out to Denver to show. And that was an incredible experience, one that I highly recommend for everybody if they get the chance to go out there and watch. And it's been really fun to kind of showcase the work that I've put in and get to work with those animals. And they really do become family pets. They're pretty fun to be around.
A similar question we've asked about, what about the role of a Nebraska FFA state officer made you interested in applying for this office?
So for me, Gothenburg has had a history of being one of the top chapters, and we've had a few state officers come through our program, and those are people that I've always looked up to. And even the past state FFA officers, you look up to those guys. They're the ones that are kind of leading the way and getting to meet members from all across the state and see what they get to do. And so that's something I'm really excited about, is to meet the FFA members from across the state and just be kind of role model for them and be someone that they can look up to and someone they can kind of aspire to kind of follow in some of the steps that I've done and participate in some of the events that I've done.
Congratulations, Heath Kaiser from the Gothenburg FFA chapter. We'll move up to our final state vice president. Rebecca Wulf is from the Logan FFA chapter on the eastern side of Nebraska. Rebecca, what was the surrounding yesterday as you heard your name called as a Nebraska FFA state vice president?
So, sorry. I was in my living room with my parents and my younger brother, and we watched it on the TV, and it was just crazy. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get it or not, and it was really really heartwarming. My dad was very proud of me. My dad does not show a whole lot of emotion, and he definitely did yesterday. So.
I'm seeing that in the past you've planned an agriculture literacy event for elementary students. Talk about that experience and what is it about agriculture literacy that made you interested in trying to help some younger students learn more about agriculture?
Yeah, so I planned an agriculture literacy day for my Gold Award for Girl Scouts. And even though my school is we're in a rural-based community, I thought that agriculture literacy was still very important, especially in elementary. If you can inform kids about agriculture and where their food's coming from and what's in their own community, then hopefully they're going to go home and tell their parents and they're going to remember it. And then I had about 30 FFA members who volunteered to help with it, and the kids just absolutely love them. And then I hope that when they're in high school that they'll be interested in agriculture and want to join our FFA program.
Rebecca, what would you like your message to Nebraska FFA members be over the next year as you serve as a state vice president?
Don't take things for granted. If you have an opportunity, take it, because you just never know what's going to happen. God has a plan for you, and you'll never know whether or not you could accomplish the things that you once dreamed about if you don't take that first step to try to accomplish them.
Nebraska FFA State Vice President Rebecca Wulf from the Logan FFA chapter. Congratulations to you. We'll move up to our state secretary. That is. Hannah Moseman is from the Oakland-Craig FFA chapter. Hannah, I saw your chapter advisor posted a video of when you were announced as one of the state FFA advisors. Bring us back to that moment.
Yeah, so I actually went over to my advisor's house, and my sister came with me along with one of my mentors, and it was definitely unexpected. As I sat there and the positions were getting less and less, I really started to get worried, and my sister can attest, I almost broke her hand. But yeah, so it was really cool. And then when my advisor was actually a state officer too, and her son put on her jacket and then rushed me around the room like he was bringing me up on stage. So that was a really cool experience.
What has been one of the most memorable FFA experiences you've had?
For 2 years, my junior and my senior year, I went to National FFA Convention, and just seeing that big sea of blue jackets, it was really cool to see how many people really wanted to be there to serve others and advocate for agriculture. And I knew that running for state office was something that I want to do after experiencing that. And I thought it was a really cool experience to see how much agriculture really impacts the lives of everyone.
Hannah, tell us a little bit more about your background in agriculture.
I was actually literally born on our family farm, along with two of my other siblings. And so that's kind of a cool thing to tell a lot of people. A lot of people don't really expect that. But later on, we moved into town, so we don't really do a lot of production ag. But my dad, he hauls cattle, and my grandpa, he still farms, and he's going strong on 91. So it's really cool to see how strong of a leader he is in my life. And I remember just always being out on the farm with my grandparents and riding in the combine or the tractor. And my grandma always said that I was going to grow up to do something big in agriculture. So has been a really cool experience.
Nebraska FFA State Secretary Hannah Moseman from the Oakland-Craig FFA chapter. Congratulations, Hannah. And finally, the state president from the Stuart FFA chapter is Madison Stracke. Madison, tell us about finally where you were at yesterday when your name was called.
Yeah, we were sitting in our living room, and I was with my two sisters, my brother, and my dad. And we had it playing on about 4 different devices because I was paranoid about having a technology malfunction. So if one went down, I had 3 other options, I suppose. And then I was Zooming with Mr. Larson and Mrs. Hanslick, my 2 advisors. And yeah, after the 6th one was called, I was like, well, I guess I don't know, I guess. And my name was called, and I was in complete shock. People were running to my house, and it was amazing.
It's got to be a once-in-a-lifetime feeling there. Madison, your ag background, I understand you're involved on the family farming operation, also involved in some high school rodeo.
Yes, I have been rodeoing since, probably before 6th grade, but I didn't start traveling till about 6th grade. But ever since, it's been a family event. Our entire family travels to rodeos. We pack up our trailer and haul all across the state. My younger brother also high school rodeos, and it's been quite a life-changing experience for me.
As we've now visited with all 7 of the Nebraska State FFA officers, I want to ask you kind of a team question for you, Madison, about what about working with your team over the next year? Hopefully be able to physically meet them, see each other face to face again like you did in the preliminary round of the chapter, the state officer selection process. But what most excites you about working as a team?
Yeah, definitely the fact that we will become a family. We get to spend a lot of time together, and I can't wait to finally get with them. We should be at Colt Conference right now, but obviously that is not the circumstance anymore. So I can't wait to get to spend more time with each and every one of them. And that's when true bonds are built. So I can't wait for that.
And finally, what is your message to Nebraska FFA members over the next year?
Yeah, definitely don't waste your time. Obviously this year, circumstances have arisen, and our state convention has been canceled. And as a senior, that was extremely heartbreaking. So if you're a freshman, sophomore, or junior, definitely don't take those last few years for granted, because you never know when your last convention, your last competition will truly be.
Very good. Nebraska State FFA President Madison Stracke from the Stuart FFA chapter. Well, congratulations to you 7, the 2020-2021 Nebraska FFA State Officer Team. We sure appreciate you all being flexible with us and doing this Zoom call this morning as we introduce each of you to our listeners.